Hey everybody, Alan Warren here, and this is the Outdoor TV Classic. So glad you joined us. Today we'll be taking a trip back in time with a man who many a young boy grew up watching on TV. Those boys are now old men, like me. And each weekend, if we weren't out fishing or hunting or playing outside, we'd be glued in front of the TV, waiting for our favorite outdoor TV show to come on. Can you relate? Well, today's outdoor TV classic is from the Jim Thomas Outdoors Library. It's got a trip to the Sea of Cortez in La Paz, Mexico for billfish, striped marlin to be exact. And then we'll visit a wildlife refuge and see how their efforts more than 60 years ago helped to save a beautiful species from almost certain extinction. Make sure and give today's show a like, subscribe to the channel, and send us a smoke signal by dropping a comment down below. Let's get started.
Down in this part of the world, it's difficult to conclude which is more beautiful, the awe-inspiring peaks and valleys beneath you, or the Sea of Cortez that parallels it all. This is Baja, California, and no one visits this fabulous peninsula without browsing about its key city, La Paz. La Paz is just about as modern and cosmopolitan as any major city in Mexico, yet it still retains sufficient old world flavor to delight even the most particular traveler, be he angler or not. Yes, sir, even though I was raring to wet a line down south, the luncheon I enjoyed here almost made me forget my fishing date. I guess you could call La Paz a seaport town, since there always seems to be lots of ships in the bay. But as far as I'm concerned, this city was created for visiting vacationers who appreciate the finer things in life. I was about one day late on this trip. My angling companions had already headed south. However, our chief guide and outfitter, Owekan Manuel, better known as Pollo, did remain in La Paz until I arrived. He told me that one of the boys, Chuck Hardshaw, had gone marlin fishing, and that by leaving now, we might arrive at Palmaya before he came in. Palmaya is located a few miles north of Cabo San Lucas, where the Bay of California and the Pacific meet. Naturally, Pollo knew a shortcut, which was off the main road. My mind is on Chuck. I bet he's having a ball. I'll say is, who wouldn't on a day like today? Perfect weather, water so clear you can see 50 feet down, and on the other side of every third wave top, a big marlin just waiting for that bait. The skipper spots one. Watch that outrigger. He's taken the bait, and the rod's passed to Chuck. Can now set that hook and set it hard, pal, as the captain pours on the coal. Is he on? Is he on? I'll say he's on. It's a big striped marlin, and he doesn't like it one darn bit either. And now a real tug-of-war begins. Here, angler, his tackle, and the skipper must work in perfect coordination or the battle is lost almost before it begins. You can tell there's a big one on by the way he's running that drag. Believe you me, this is a real test for your tackle. There he goes again, but don't get the idea he's wearing down. This big bruiser hasn't begun to fight. Yeah, Chuck, old boy, you'll remember this one for a long time. By natural instinct, a hooked marlin will porpoise. He'll greyhound, he'll leap, twist, and turn in maniacal fury in a frantic effort to rid himself of that bothersome steel. And more often than not, those efforts are rewarded, too. This is the real introduction to action for Chuck, since it's his first marlin. Lucky for him, this is not a tournament. If it were, the mate would not be permitted to touch the tackle in any way during the fight. However, even here, where there is no contest involved, he assists Chuck only long enough to demonstrate the pump and reel rhythm, essential if the marlin is to be landed. Man alive, look at that baby take to the air, would you? That marlin is over 200 pounds, and for a striper, that's pretty good. And when you're mixing it up with a fish of this size, the odds are usually on the marlin, too. This big bruiser is a little closer to the stern of the boat. but there's still lots of fight left in him. Watch it. There he goes again. Hold him, hold him. Yeah, hold him if you can. Huh, Skipper? But finally, the old blue warrior must give way to man's skill and modern tackle. The will and spirit to carry on still prevail, but the strength is gone. The mighty denizen of the deep meekly submits to mere ounces of tackle and a flimsy string called fishing line. And with a heave and a hoe, all members aboard this mightily arrayed cruiser of the Sea of Cortez haul in the prize. And what a thrill it is for all, too. And the story of this gallant champion, how he fought and was caught, will be told over and over again by this lucky angler. Needless to say, congratulations is certainly in order. It's not an easy chore to emerge the victor in a battle like this. The Marlin pennant is hoisted and will proudly fly from the outrigger, proclaiming to all that this boat has taken a big striper. Well, sir, both Poyo and yours truly were among the spectators that lined the magnificent sandy beach of Palmea that afternoon, and I guess I was just about as excited over the victory as Chuck. Even the deckhands moved a little faster than usual. They were just as anxious as all of us to weigh in the prize. And it was a real pleasure to offer my congratulations to Chuck. After all, it isn't often that a guy hooks and lands a big striper on his very first Marlin expedition. And at a time like this, speculation as to the weight of the fish reaches a feverish pitch. But there's one thing for sure. It took 4 good men to tote it up the beach to the scale. To say the least, this old Marlin is going to make everything else hanging on that rack look a little small. Now there's the verdict, 223 pounds. Man alive, that's something else. 223 pounds. Believe you me, you just don't take a striper of that size every day, even here at Palmea. Incidentally, many billfish are released upon being caught in order to receive those all-important release points. Chuck insists on having the entire trophy mounted. Can't say as I blame him. Anyway, Chuck and I are looking forward to a lot more angling down here at Palmea, but right now we've got some celebrating to do.
If you're an old guy like me who grew up fishing and hunting and you look back, you can see how conservation has really developed, right? I mean, it used to be catch them, string them up, and then eat them. Today, when we see a picture of a 10-pound bass, a 10-pound bass on a stringer, it kind of makes you shake your head, makes you sick. I mean, what about catch and release? It's another example of how things have changed for the better. It's what wildlife lovers have done to save a population of birds that was literally on the verge of extinction in the early 1900s. Why? 2 reasons: destruction of habitat and overhunting. But that changed, and birds like the whooping crane made a comeback. They surely did.
The Aransas Wildlife Refuge was developed way back in the 30s, long before most Americans gave much thought to such things as ecology or conservation. Back in those days, there was an abundance of game and plenty of natural habitat. Of course, that was before shopping centers and urban development, subdivisions, and city expansion programs became a reality. Today, however, if the Aransas Wildlife Refuge and others like it all over our country didn't exist, a lot of our favorite game species would have long since disappeared. This huge tract of government-owned land is conveniently located along the Gulf of Mexico near Aransas Pass, Texas. It has long been the home of both land and sea creatures, as well as a haven for migratory waterfowl. Here the wild inhabitants live unmolested in their own natural habitat. This management preserve is protected by trained government overseers and supervisors, whose primary responsibility is to observe the activities of the many and varied species of birds and game found in this 60,000-acre tract of land. Some of the largest alligators in the Southwest are members of this wildlife colony and can be seen almost anywhere around the banks of the many creeks and lakes on the property. No telling how old this big fellow is, and we weren't about to come in for a close examination. He was plenty grumpy and let us know it in short order. This is his domain, and he doesn't like intruders. The refuge is open during regular hours to the public. However, they drive through and are advised not to leave the car except at designated parking areas. And here's just one of the reasons why this huge diamondback rattlesnake is perhaps one of thousands slithering around the vast acreage. Migratory waterfowl of every description and from all over the central flyway flock here either for food and rest or to spend their winter vacation. This is their sanctuary, and they may use it as they please. And of course, this old bird is a descendant of one of the original charter members of the club. He stays here year-round. White-tailed deer are everywhere, bucks and does. And at certain times of the year, fawns too. Like all deer in the wild, they're not necessarily tame, but they've got a big bump of curiosity. Naturally, there are certain species of wildlife that are rarely seen: bobcats, mountain lions, wild turkey, and a host of others too numerous to mention. Ah, but they say of that you may be sure, like this javelina. He seems to know that he's protected and flaunts that knowledge. They're here by the hundreds. Here's another gator, equally as large as that one we saw a while back. And even though he tries to be blasé about his audience, he can't resist that piece of bread. Thanks, buddy. Got any more? Aransas Pass Refuge may boast of having the only flock of whooping cranes left in America. This bird not too long ago was almost extinct and is still on the endangered species list. But they nest down here now and are propagating, and as a result, their numbers are increasing substantially. Once long ago, this magnificent bird was in abundance throughout its range. But due to the greed of market hunters and a lack of desirable habitat, the whooping crane, except for a couple of dozen, virtually disappeared from the face of the earth. But today, thanks to wise management, these graceful birds are allowed to live in peace, along with all other wild creatures of the Aransas Pass Wildlife Refuge.
From massive striped marlin off Baja to saving a near extinct species, every week Jim Thomas would seem to be everywhere. So, quick question: do today's outdoor shows have the same magic of the outdoor TV classics? Do they? While today's shows are absolutely more exciting and fast moving, they also seem to be, generally speaking, to me, too busy, too promotional, too, I don't know. What do you think? Drop a comment down below if you would. Thank you for joining me today. I hope we can meet again soon on another Outdoor TV Classic.